Don't forget to hit record.
Yeah, we're recording now. So nice to see you all. I wrote something yesterday, or something was written yesterday, about this not being a possibility. So I thought I might just talk about that a bit, because there were a few questions about that, what does that mean? Well, this isn't one of many possibilities. The whole nature of self is that this is one of many possibilities that could have happened. And from this, one of many possibilities, there are many possibilities that could come from this. Neither is true. This isn't a possibility among many possibilities. This is complete. This is all. Empty of possibility. And I had somebody say, well, on the comments, there were a couple of comments about, yeah, but of course it's infinite possibilities as well. Well, there's hope for you, isn't it? That's exactly what self wants. Infinite possibility. I could be anything. I could be anywhere. I could do anything. The future is spread out in front of me with infinite possibility. Well, what a lovely dream that is. There is no possibility. There's no possibility that this could be other than it is. And as this is all that there is, how could there be possibility? When the writing of this is not a possibility is the same as saying there's no hope. Because if you think of what possibility means to me, what possibility means to self is that there's hope that this will be different. There's a possibility that this could be different. How could this be different from it is? So that's maybe another reason why I often come out with, this is not what you want. Because of course, self wants infinite possibility. There's no way this could be different from it is. For the most simple reason, the most obvious, because this is as it is, isn't it? So how could it possibly be other than it is when it already is as it is? It's ridiculous, but there it is. Ridiculously simple, too simple. But whilst you're looking for other possibilities, whilst there's thinking about other possibilities, both past and future, by the way, you know, I could have possibly said that differently. I could have possibly not said what I said, and then she wouldn't have got upset. And I could possibly, in the future, remember that possibility and behave in a better way to bring a better outcome. I mean, if you think about the conversations self has with itself, that's a lot of them. Those kind of conversations. And of course, while there's still a sense of I'm real, then of course I really want to get better. I really want to do better. And I don't want to hear the possibility. I don't want to hear that there's no possibility of me doing so, that there isn't someone to get better. And it can sound that, I mean, this no possibility can sound dreadful, but it's really not. It's the peace and rest, and that this is already everything. This is already complete. There is no completion to come. There's no possibility of completion when this is all that there is. There's no possibility of incompletion when this is already complete. It doesn't leave you with a lot to do. There's no work required. It's the end of the one who has the motivation to complete himself or herself. That's why it feels like rest. It feels like peace. Don't get me wrong, the peace can be anyhow. I don't mean that it's always peaceful. There'll be peace in anger. There'll be peace in envy. All the myths that self tells itself that, oh, envy is mine, anger is mine. None of it's yours. It just all comes from nowhere and goes nowhere. And the wonder is that you don't need to know anything about what's happening, what turns up, what appears, in order for the appearance to be exactly as it is. And of course, that can include all the stories. That can include all the stories of how it could be, about all the possibilities, about how it should be, about how it could have been, how it might be. They're all equally empty. Life simply couldn't be any better or worse until I say so. And boy, do I like to say so. Okay. Right.
Jackie has a hand up.
Jackie. Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Tim. Lovely to see you.
And you.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing that you started off with that about possibility, because I managed to catch about half a meeting with Tony on Saturday.
Oh yeah.
And I hadn't heard it said before, or I hadn't heard him say it before, about how nothing is like, or this is no possibility. I was like, oh, I haven't heard that before. I wonder what that means. And then you come along like 2 days later and put some words on it. So yeah, amazing. Thank you. That was a perfect introduction as far as I'm concerned.
I swear I didn't hear him say it. Sounds like, oh yeah, that's good. Just take Tony's pearls of wisdom, and then gild the lily, which I am quite adept at gilding the lily. But yeah,
well gilded.
Tony said that, yeah.
But I do have a question though.
Oh, go on.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, but he didn't explain it. He just
No,
he just said it.
That's my job.
Yeah. So indeed. Yeah. Yeah, I won't go flattering you. You get enough of that on this.
Yes.
This meeting. But I wanted to ask you, and I'm sorry there's a delay. My internet is rubbish, so apologies for that.
I can hear you.
But this, nothing appearing, nothing apparently happening. Okay, or nothing, appearing as everything, nothing appearing.
Right.
So does that mean? So I get a sense of there being. I mean, this is probably just concept, but it feels like a sense of. So, like there's no dimensions, there's no solidity, there's nothing. But so does that mean like this? Like last time I saw you, so this hand I think is like flesh and blood and tissue and bone and whatever.
Yeah.
But actually it is. So when you say it's just nothing appearing, so this hand, it's appearing as blood and tissue and bone, but it's like there's nothing solid.
No.
Yeah, just trying to.
Well, I must say straight away that you mustn't think because the words come out about everything being nothing that I know what nothing is at all. All knowledge is something, is about the things. That's what's known. It just might be obvious that knowledge is empty, and so it's nothing. But a hand, one of the most paradoxical things is when it's very obvious that everything is empty, then it's more real than before, not less. So the reality, so a hand is more, when it's not my hand or your hand, when it's just a hand, it has a realness, a complete realness that it wouldn't have when I'm attributing it to like some kind of ownership, which is, of course, we really, self really makes that up. But the apparent realness, the seeming realness is more real. It's not, so everything is completely real and at the same time, equally, absolutely empty. The emptiness and the realness and the unrealness, the emptiness and the fullness are just pathetic attempts to describe how this feels without the one saying it's only real, because it's only real in relation to me and I'm real. It's like the emptiness. And by the way, I mean, there's nothing to see here, Jackie. It's not like, you don't think that Tim can see emptiness or can see nothing. There's nothing to see. The only thing to see is the realness. But there is a really palpable sense that realness is empty. So there's only what's happening.
Okay.
The realness is happening. I'm only attempting to explain. This is
Yeah.
all rubbish, by the way. You can
Yeah,
ignore.
no, I appreciate it. Yeah.
But the what happening,
Yeah, no, it's
the
fun
what,
to
there
play
is only
with.
what's happening. That's the realness. It's really happening. It's not happening.
Yeah.
It's empty. Because emptiness can't happen, can it?
Yeah, empty. What the hell does that mean?
Exactly. Exactly. And
Empty
you
of what?
must not attribute to whoever's speaking about this that they know emptiness in the sense of knowledge. This is not a knowing. The only knowledge we have is of the seeming realness of things. But it can be that seeming realness is obviously just seeming.
I can kind
Just
of understand
seemingly,
the
just seemingly
like
real,
that it's
but it's
just
empty as well.
like is it empty because it's just an appearance?
I really can't. You know, the emptiness. This is the impossibility. Trying to talk about nothing. Trying to talk about something that's not. So we can only talk about what is, and that's what's real. But equally, what isn't. It's empty of. So there is what it is. It is what it is. So this hand is what it is. It's a hand. So it's not that, but that hand is empty. It's the best I've got. It's not adequate. It's not, the words don't convey, but empty of, so it's empty. I say that it's only, to me, as a real sense of self, the realness of me implies and gives objects, because I'm the subject, I'm a real subject, which of course is objectifying myself as a subject. I'm an object who is the subject that can see. So I see the objects in relation to myself. In this, when that no longer appears, there's no saying. And the best it seems that anyone's got is empty and full, real and unreal, absolute and relative, all of those. But none of those mean anything at all.
Yeah.
The only really words that I like that mean something is "this is as it is." I do like those words because they're not ambiguous. Whereas all the paradoxical terms, but it's simply that there isn't anything more. The reason there's always the speaking in opposites is that there isn't anything other than. So all opposites are always this. This doesn't have an opposite.
Yeah, I think I was wanting to get some kind of sense of the emptiness meant that there was no real substance, that it wasn't a something. Emptiness means that it's not a something. It's well, nothing appearing. It's just an appearance. It's just like a mirage kind of.
I don't have any sense of that, and I've heard that a lot. That this is something, nothing appearing as something. So, but all that does is that's just another game for self to play, that it now knows that everything is really nothing, and nothing, then make nothing the source. Well, there's no sense that that nothing is the source, and then this appears from nothing. There's no sense of that at all.
Yeah.
This is, there is only the appearance, and the appearance is empty. Because of course nothing.
Yeah, it's the word empty that's means nothing.
No, it doesn't mean anything. Of course it does, because it's the opposite of full. But we only have words that have an opposite, don't we? We tend not to have any word. There are no words that don't have what's the word? Antonym.
Very good.
Just showing my literacy there.
Yeah, impressive, yeah.
Yeah, so all the speaking about it is just saying, well, there isn't anything else, that's all.
Yeah.
But it can sound like, well, I know, it always sounds like I know what I'm talking about. And of course, that does come from 30 years of being a teacher and bullshitting the kids that I knew what I was talking about,
Yeah.
when most of the time I hadn't got a clue.
Yeah, me too.
And
yeah, I'm a teacher.
you
I know what that's like.
So I can sound quite authoritative, like a lot of speakers can about this. Well, the wonder is that this is no authority at all. And I really assure you, I know nothing more about this than anyone else and any other human being. There is nothing. The whole message is that there is nothing to know about this. That this is completely known without any knowledge. That this is completely understood without any understanding. This is completely as it is without you.
Okay, thank you.
That was quite a full answer there.
Yeah, money's worth.
I can't emphasize enough that none of that means anything.
I think the thing is that, you know, I start thinking that I have something to get hold of.
Yeah.
And it's good to kind of talk, you know, to kind of expose that and realize that yeah, no, there's nothing, I can't get hold of this.
Well, the thing is, you can get hold of things, can't you? You can always get hold of things. You know, you can get hold of a easy peeler satsuma, but you can't get hold of nothing. And of course, the problem with speaking about nothing or emptiness is that it just sounds like something you could get hold of. But I mean, that's why those words are used, because of all words, emptiness and nothing at least do imply that you couldn't actually hold nothing. You couldn't grasp it and have it. But I mean, there may be some speakers who really mean that they do know nothing. They know the nothing. They know the emptiness. That's certainly not what I'm trying to convey. There's absolutely nothing to know. There's nothing to know.
That would be bullshit, wouldn't it?
I would say so, yeah. But just because that's not how it's experienced here doesn't mean to say it is bullshit, but it certainly sounds like it.
And smells like it.
Smells a bit stinky, yeah. There's a nasty whiff about that.
Okay, I'll let Mats come in. Mats is waiting, so I'll
Thanks,
I'll let
Jackie.
you go.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mats.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, Tim. And
hi, Mats.
So you put on a bit of a philosophical tone today, and that's dangerous with me because I have a lot of that in my head. So first, a preliminary question.
I hope I haven't got too philosophical. I tried to shit on philosophy if I can, but
Yeah. Well, anyway, I have first a preliminary question. I'm guessing you agree then that what you know in the Heart Sutra they say form is emptiness, emptiness is form. That is equally good expression, I guess you would agree.
yeah, I could use that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was just a small thing. Now comes my question. You were speaking about possibilities, and that for me that connects with time. No possibilities means there is no time, or time is an illusion, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I have a recurring thing that comes up with me. This thing that there is no time. When I see movement everywhere, and to me that means there is time. So
yeah.
I would really like to hear what this triggers when to hear you speak about that.
Well, yeah, of course, there's appearance of time, Mats. I'm not going to get too philosophical because you've made accusations that I'm a.
No, that wasn't an accusation. No, this was not an accusation.
I'll keep it really direct and say, yeah, there appears to be time.
Okay.
Looks like it. And that is the seeming movement. So it looks like movement. And the looking like movement is absolutely still. And the looking like time is absolutely timeless. Then it's simply not two.
This is what's not so, you know, it doesn't look like that always for me.
No. What I'm not saying it looks like it, Matt. I'm saying it looks like movement. Life looks like movement. Life looks like time.
I guess this is all we get.
Just the same as, yeah, so we could say, and sounds sound like sound, but the sounds are silent. Time looks like time, but it's timeless. And movement looks like moving, but that moving is absolutely still. So stillness and movement are not two. Time and timeless are not two. Sound and silence are not two. This doesn't move. This is silent. This is absolutely still. This is timeless, appearing as time, as movement, as sound, as feelings, as thoughts, as taste, however it appears.
Okay.
That doesn't mean to say, Mats, that it might sound again, just like with the possibilities thing, or with the emptiness, that I can see stillness, that I can hear silence, that I can feel timelessness. Well, no, the appearance is all the appearances, but they are all empty. So silence, stillness, timeless are just other words, other ways of trying to express the emptiness that this is, along with the fullness of what's happening. And it's not that the fullness comes from emptiness. There's no sense here that the source is emptiness. The sense is that this is sourceless. This doesn't have a source, that the appearance is all, and the appearance is empty.
It's sourceless, but full of source. It's a bit saucy.
It can be saucy. It can be saucy. Depends who's speaking about it. Of course, it depends if you like sauce. Some people don't like saucy.
Yeah.
Some people like their burgers plain, others with lots of sauce. Yeah. You love a play on words as much as I do, Darren. So childish.
So childish.
Yeah, life's more saucy without a sauce. And of course, normally the source is me, isn't it? That's really what we're saying. The great illusion is that I am the source. These thoughts come from me. These feelings come from me. this life comes from me. Well, and all that's wanted to be said is that might be seen to be not true. There won't be anything in your place. There would just be not knowing. So where does it come from? I don't know. I don't care. Whereas, of course, I always cared. I always wanted to know.
Tim, Aiva, I think it's Aiva, has a hand up.
Hi there, Tim. Yeah, it's Eva. And
Hi, Eva.
hi. Yeah, I mean, what comes across from me while you're speaking about all that is a kind of an utter innocence, actually.
Yeah, complete.
I just know, you know, that's as close as I can get to explain what that could be possibly, because there is no need to know anymore.
Yeah.
So everything just happens as it happens without having to understand it or explain it or have concepts about it, and there's just this wonderful, relaxing freedom of innocence in the end.
Yeah, that's lovely. Yeah, that is. Yeah, you could say it that way. There's no one to be guilty. So of course that there is a real sense of innocence. It's not that you're innocent or guilty. You could say innocence dies, and then the whole concept of innocence is that you didn't do it. Well, it's more than that. It's more innocent than the normal concept of innocence. It's that there's no one who could be innocent or guilty. And in that is so paradoxical that when there's no one to forgive, there is only complete innocence. Yeah. This is absolutely fresh. This is absolutely new. There is, no one's aging. This isn't aging. Bodies are aging, but there is no one. There aren't selves who are getting older. There aren't babies, children, teenagers, and adults. There are bodies that look like that, but there aren't any selves who are, are aging. And if you ask most selves, one of the first things they won't necessarily want to admit it, but they'll know that what they've called themselves does not age. Their sense of self is timeless. It does not get older. Well, there's a massive clue, because all it is a case of mistaken identity. Emptiness, thisness, this complete absence is ageless and completely innocent. There is no one getting older or wiser. That's wonderful. This is the death of wisdom as well, which is beautiful, because of course I really wanted to be wise in my old age. But this is the end of looking to anyone else for wisdom. And most important of all, not looking to yourself for wisdom. It's just another elaborate story told by self, told by me that, the more I understand, the wiser I will be, and therefore my actions will be more, I don't know, all these myths of stuff like harmony and, I don't know, alignment. Bullshit. There's no one to align with anything. There's nothing to align with. Forget, if you could, forget it. Stop trying. Stop trying to be something, especially trying to be something special. And in that is great peace and rest. If I could, I'd take yourself from you, but I'm clever, but not that clever.
There's quite a few hands up, so I'll go in order. We've got Scott, then Heidi, then Michael. So Scott, go ahead.
Okay,
Oh,
hi.
hey, Tim. Hey, everyone.
Ah,
Hi,
Yeah, I
Scott.
like this about innocence. It's almost like it's being born it's always new. It's always now.
Yeah.
I heard some comic the other day said, I come from the past. And I thought, wow, because this, whatever this is, it doesn't come from the past.
No,
It,
no.
it absolutely is unknowable and just kind of frizzy, you know, it's frizzante. And in that way, it's so much more interesting than what's going on in a way, or it is what's going on. It's not the infinite possibilities which make that look like it's not important or small or just passing by.
Yeah. Well, this, you know, this is the only significant event in being a non-event. You know, this isn't an event, but this is the only one, and it's not one. You don't get more. You know, everyone's saying how insignificant their life is. It's, you know, self wants a more significant life, wants a more, I don't know, whatever self has fantasized would complete its life and be a better life. Well, there simply isn't anything.
I mean, it's just amazing. This feels like the most important discovery probably that I've ever made, but it just feels so new and fresh. Like, why isn't everyone falling in love with this? I mean, it's so obvious that it's just the only thing going on, and it's alive, and it just wants all your love and attention. And
Yeah, well, I would say it couldn't give a shit about your love and attention, Scott, but it's lovely when there is love and attention. Yeah, but one thing is really feels very obvious here, that life is completely indifferent, and the weirdest thing is that the indifference is the unconditional love. The fact that there's complete indifference, there isn't anything outside that's looking in, you know, with a loving gaze, like the parent that you'd always wanted, you know, that's acknowledging, oh yeah, you're doing really well now. And it's the end of that. And really, very oddly, that is unconditional love.
well, for some reason, it doesn't need to be reflected back anymore.
No.
It pays itself. It's its own reward.
Yeah.
So it's like you can continually reinvest in this, because you see that this is it's paying back. When you put it on the outside world, you see that gets lost. It's just, you become a beggar and you're waiting for that energy to come back, or whatever you're inventing. It's never going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, this just seems to have that, like, an immediate payoff. Like, oh, okay, I get to feel this way if I think this. It's not reflected back. It's just so beautiful that you can't believe that you forgot. You just can't believe it.
It's a really strange payoff, Scott, because it's such an empty payoff. I mean, it's not a payoff that is. You could say it's the only payoff, but it is empty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a prize that you
can't tell other people.
No. Well, look, well, it seems like you can. Look, looks like that's what's happening here. It looks like I'm telling you, but that's empty as well.
Yeah.
And beautifully inconsequential. It doesn't have any weight or agenda. I'm not really trying to make life better for you. It's a really indifferent kind of love, unconditional love. It's not one or the other.
It's so weird in this world of, like, did I get 1,000 likes or 1,000,000 likes or whatever? It's like, this is the total opposite. It's like, I don't need a single like on this. Like, this is like, it confirms itself, you know. It's, what do they say? It's self-effulgent, the Indians say.
What do they say?
self-effulgent. It gives its own life.
Effulgent. What a lovely word, effulgent. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks. Thanks so
I'll
much.
have to put that in my repertoire. Effulgent. I like that.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Scott. Was anybody else like to say anything?
Heidi has a hand up.
Heidi. Hi, Heidi.
Hi, Tim. Hi. So that's lovely to talk about talking, because it was, I think, 1998. I was listening to a man. I don't know if you know him. It was Margo Bogachnik. He is an artist. He built some stones in the landscapes.
Right.
And I was in a room with him, and he starts talking. And the first thing was, I can not understand any word what comes out of his mouth.
Right.
And at the same time, I was sitting there and had the idea, I understand all what he belongs to, but this is not in this room. It's somewhere else. And then suddenly he said, okay, this may be for you strange, but maybe we have to find a new language. And that was in my head all the time. We have to find a new language. But now I see, during this bubbling up all what comes into the room, we have no possibilities to find a new language. We don't have to find a new language. We have the words, that's enough. And it's so great to feel and to listen and to what comes out of the mouths of the people. That's all. What's else?
Oh,
I don't have to think about it.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I really love to be in these rooms because of that. Yeah, as I told last time. Yeah.
Thanks, Heidi.
Yeah. Thanks,
That's
Tim.
really nice.
Thanks. Yeah.
Michael had his hand up, but then he got cut off, but then he did come back. I don't know whether he still wants to ask a question and just has forgotten to raise his hand, but give him a second. Did you want to ask a question, Michael?
Oh, hi, Michael.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Would you say that we're just never going to get this, that individually and in mass, we are it? So there's no separation for us to get. We can't get it.
Definitely not.
Since we are it.
Yeah. Well, it's simply, well, you could say it's got, couldn't you? You know, what, there isn't an it, you know, to get. There isn't an it to get it, and then there isn't an it to get. But yeah, it's got is about as close as you could say. Well, language is so limited. That's all. Yeah, but there is no. Yeah, I can't emphasize enough that it feels like loss. What I'm speaking of felt like loss, and then no longer does it feel like loss. But then I don't know. Yeah, but the words don't measure up. No.
And yet we are limited to the words. That's
yeah.
Confined to and defined by.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if you ask me, you know, what is there without the words? Because that's really what everyone wants to know. I know, and that's what I wanted to know. So yeah, what's behind the words? Well, without the words, there isn't. Well, of course, without words, there isn't anything to say. But it's less than that. You know, it's even less than not being able to say the words. There's just, and yet, it's absolutely obvious. I don't know how. Well, yeah, that's it. There's still a joy in the words, though. It's all we've got.
I
You
think
know,
with-
it is as good as we've got to share it.
Without them, we don't exist.
No.
Thanks, Tim.
Well, I mean, if you try it, I mean, what would exist without the words? That's an interesting one to, you know, to contemplate, because you don't get anywhere with that. That's quite a sweet game you can try with yourself. So what will there be without the words?
Or the deeper meaning of words.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I use the word empty all the time, or emptiness, as, you know, just a pathetic attempt. That's all I can't find anything better. And then I use the word love, and it's a paltry word for what we're trying to convey. But that's all we've got. So there's no need to be ashamed that that's all humanity has come up with. But there we are. Thanks, Michael. Would anyone else like to ask anything?
Jackie has a hand up.
Jackie.
Is it okay if I have another?
You can have another go if no
Another
one else
question?
wants to.
Yeah, I can't see any hands up, so I'll go ahead.
Yeah, sure.
So when like language comes out of here and then language comes out of there, like as in you, that there's no thinking about that, is there? There's no kind of choosing the words or reflecting on what you might answer, or, you know, you're not kind of,
Well,
you're not kind of drawing on anything.
No, it all comes from nowhere. Yeah, you just don't know. But there can be, when you say about reflecting, there can be a sense of reflecting. Yeah, there can be reflection. It can be like, oh, there's looking for a word. You know, when you can't find a word, but you know, the word's there somewhere. It's a bit like looking for your keys. I put them somewhere. So that word's put down somewhere. Oh, there it is. But you don't find it. You'd never found it. You weren't looking for it, but there was seeming looking. It's the same. It's all the same with everything. It's just whatever seems to be going on. It's just that you said you were doing it, and then it might be obvious that it's all coming from appearing out of nowhere. And of course, it goes nowhere as well. You never know where stuff has gone, do you? If words appear, they've disappeared as they appear.
Yeah.
You can't pin them down. Of course, when other people are listening to it and they have a real solid sense that they're the speaker, then they wouldn't have any of that. Because the very core of my sense of autonomy, my very self-esteem, the core of my sense of self is that I'm the chooser of the words. I know what I'm saying. Well, I mean, you ask most selves and they'll go, yeah, most of the time I haven't got a clue. You know, it's blatantly obvious to most selves anyway, but they will deny it to the death. You know, because my very sense of being real depends on that. The emptiness of self is known by...
And that's where, like, the innocence is that...
Say again? Sorry, Jackie?
Sorry, like that's where the innocence is. The innocence of, yeah, there's not, it's not someone choosing it and being responsible for what's said or done or not done, or it's just an innocent, blind, nothing happening. Yeah, it's beautiful.
It is, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we don't blame small children for the, you know, they went out with their Uncle Tim, and they came back, and Uncle Tim had been looking after them for the afternoon, and they came back, and they sat on their mother's knee, and they went, bollocks. You wouldn't say, you know, they're choosing to be, you know, to swear. It would be obviously innocent, and that's how it.
Yeah.
And that's how it is, always. Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean to say that you know, because somebody said to me, well, if everyone's innocent, you wouldn't lock anyone away. But of course, if a human being's violent and they're going to do harm to other human beings, it's best they're put somewhere safe. I mean, that's all nonsense, all of that. That kind of, because that's the kind of reaction you often hear with this message, is that, of course, there would be anarchy. But there wouldn't.
And so that like there's innocence in being violent, and there's innocence in locking someone away. That's all innocent in the same sense of the word.
Yeah, all of it. Yeah. 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 I mean, human beings treat other human beings appallingly because of their sense that the human being who they're going to treat appallingly could be other than the way they are. They could be otherwise.
Yeah.
That's where near virtually all condemnation, all violence, not all violence, a lot of violence comes from that. I wouldn't want you to think that I'm talking about a new earth or something romantic.
No. No.
I'll leave that for other speakers to talk about a romantic new world, that everything's in harmony. The whole idea of this is the end of the whole idea of harmony or disharmony. When everything's just as it is, which it always is, then how could it be more harmonious or less disharmonious? Of course it couldn't. Again, it's what I was speaking about at the beginning, about this side, the whole notion of possibilities dying. I am all possibilities. Could have, would have, should have, might have. And even if those stories still come up, there's just empty stories. Without them being my real stories about my real life and about what really happened and what might have been different and what could have, they just don't have any weight. So the stories can still be, stories are just stories. And this is just another story. This is the story of stories just being stories. And in that it's very light. It's stories are only heavy when they're real. Thanks, Jackie. Is that all right? You want to say anything else?
Yeah, thank you.
Michael says in the chat.
I'm good.
In the chat, Michael says, in the attempt to describe, each perspective is wonderfully unique, but they all bottom out in the same emptiness.
They sure do.
Mm-hmm. So it's busy. The chat's busy, and Scott's got his hand up as well.
Has anybody, before I go to Scott, has anybody else got anything they'd like?
Heidi's got a hand up, and then there's some things in the chat. Actually, Sarah says, Tim, what is your intention for talking to ourselves who cannot possibly get this? How is this compassionate?
Well, it's not really, is it? It's kind of mean, isn't it? It can appear that it's quite heartless and mean, yeah. I felt that quite a lot. I couldn't. It was irresistible. This whole thing was irresistible. When I heard it, you know, when it resonated, I couldn't. I talked about it like an infection, and I got the infection. I couldn't get rid of it. It was, and then it consumed me. That's my description of what seemed to happen. I got bitten by a venomous snake, and there was no antidote. And there was a slow and excruciatingly painful death. But none of that happened, but that's how it felt. So yeah, it can sound like this isn't, how would that be a compassionate message? So I do understand, who said that, Darren?
Sarah. Sarah, yeah.
So I do understand what you're saying, Sarah. It is compassionate. It is compassionate, but it doesn't sound like it.
Hi, Tim.
Hi, Anne.
I didn't put my hand up. I just jumped in. I'm very naughty. Yeah. What's striking me more and more is I would never have believed, no matter how much they'd have told, anyone had told me, and you're really good at this, at telling people that it's nothing special. But there's no specialness. I like listening to you because you always stress that a lot. But I think that's one of the hardest things to get, the normality of this, you know, that it's like so not special. There's so no one bloody special in it. And no one's got anything special.
No.
No matter how many people sit at the front of the room and talk about it or sound really happy and joy and love and light, it's so normal and it's so shit sometimes.
Of course
it's not all love and light, is it, Tim? It's like
not. Of course, in a way, is more free to be more shit.
Yeah. Yeah, you feel it, man. You feel it.
But that the weirdest, you know, the hardest thing to express is that when life is shit, which of course it just appears, however it is, whatever. So you get the feelings that you really were afraid of. I was really afraid of feeling shit, and I can't emphasize enough how wonderful it is to know that to have a sense of it is perfectly okay. Now that's, for me, that's the greatest freedom. That's the, if this is liberation, then that's the liberation that everything is okay, even when it's dreadfully not okay. There's an okayness about everything that is impossible to describe. But that doesn't mean that it's okay all the time. Just shit is okay.
Well, it makes it sound like it doesn't exist, but it is shit.
There's no one experiencing that, is there?
We don't think like that, though, do you? You don't sit here and think, oh, there's no one experiencing that. Shit.
The thing about experiencing is there's no knowing of that. There is just you could say, I don't speak in this way, but you could say there's only experiencing. No one experiencing it, but you could say Yeah, there's experiencing, but I don't use that word because it's powerfully implies an experiencer. It powerfully implies that it needs somebody to experience something. But that doesn't mean to say that, you know, that there's an absence of what self calls experiences. Anything appears. But there's yeah, this all encompassing, all consuming okayness about life that it never had for me, because I was always judging that this is how it should be when it was good, when I liked it, when I liked what was happening, and this isn't how it should be. This is wrong. There's something wrong with me, or there's something wrong with the world. There's something wrong with God. There's something wrong with something wrong, because I don't like this. This isn't how it should be. But in a very real sense, emotions that I would have always pushed away, they're much more full on. Sadness, loss, longing. They were never mine. They're not yours. They're completely natural. They're the most human. They're the most full of love.
How are you feeling for time? There's still lots of hands up.
Yeah, we have 5 more minutes. Okay.
Well, there's Scott. Let's go in order. We've got Scott, then Heidi, then Michael. So
Okay.
Scott,
keep it brief.
Yeah, this is going to be real brief. I just wanted to say what in the last meeting was great. I got the feeling that I think this is a problem or a block that we all have, is we think somehow we're responsible for our spiritual growth. And it's so subtle, but it makes us judge ourselves and judge others. We think others should be on the path, and the minute you release that, you just go, oh, I'm not doing it either. It's just happening to me. It's just happening to everybody. And it's such a relief to just not be the one whose fault it is.
Yeah.
You know? Really, you can't do anything to get it, and yet it happens. There's
nothing to get.
The world. You free the world. You let them out of your trap of this is better, this is right, this is thanks to me. I mean, that's a heavy burden. It's up to me to find my spirit, reawaken. That's a heavy one.
That's very heavy.
Yeah.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks.
Nice.
Heidi?
I'm back again. Hi. So I'm around a little bit with the storyteller, because the most I love with people that really can tell a story that I don't know what comes next, even if I know the story. This gives me a feeling of I'm hanging on the lips of this storyteller. Something about words and there is something in I cannot understand. I don't know what it is. And yeah, that's what makes me be yeah, my heart is beating then, and I'm waiting to what happens next, and I feel that it's not necessarily to lose this feeling.
No,
this just can be, and it makes, and it's unwinding a story. Yeah. The story arises up there, and it might be a good story or a bad story or whatever, but it's that's what it is. Yeah, that's just what came.
Well, that will be unfortunately, that I don't want to burst your bubble, Heidi, but I sort of do.
No, do it. I love it.
There isn't anything coming next. There isn't. You know when you're waiting, when you're really anticipating.
I'm not waiting. No.
You know when you're anticipating the excitement. The self has that excitement.
Yeah. No, I think it's just a character thing. That my heart starts beating when I'm in this. Because of that, I am 10 minutes earlier than the train is running, because I have this in me. I don't have to lose this, but it's not in my head.
No.
So, yeah, it's great.
But I think part of the piece, why partly why life feels much more spacious, is without that always anticipating what's coming next, that anticipation. But that does feel like a loss.
Yeah. Okay.
It does feel like a loss.
Yeah.
Imagine it, because it's always imagine. It just is really obvious that was just imagination. And I got a buzz out of that. I got a big kick out of that. I got high on that anticipation, which of course it was just pure fantasy.
Yeah.
And me lives in fantasy a lot, most of the time.
Yeah.
So this kills all the fairy stories, which is it sound really harsh, but it really is.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
You can still listen to a fairy story, but you're not really interested. It can never give you the buzz that it gave me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It stopped that I could tell my own stories to other people, because I realized how I am working to get them onto my platform to listen into my story and to understand what I want to talk about.
Right, yeah.
That's all. Yeah. This is the bubble.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks, Heidi.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks.
And Michael Markham.
Right. What is it? 10 part? Yeah. Okay. We'll just take. Yeah.
I may be misunderstanding, but you speak of the okayness almost as in an impersonal sense, and it may be because I'm old. Is that I sense a sublime okayness, that it seems to be more than okayness. It seems to be, I don't know, just the joy and awe of simply being.
I think I just get a sense that you're just more romantic than me, Michael.
I think I'm old.
I'm not even joking. I just do get the sense of, every character is going to have a slightly different sense of how this is felt. Yeah. And for me, the okayness is incredibly ordinary. I mean, quite dreadfully so. And and I really get the sense that when you speak, that the okayness is much more of a beautiful, what other speakers might call bliss, I guess. You've heard throughout history, people have spoken about bliss.
Not bliss, but just almost a sublime joy of just being alive. I suppose that's because I've been almost dead several times, but every moment seems precious. I get up in the morning and feel like a puppy or a kitten. It's better than okay.
Well, you're not happy with my okay. You want a better okay.
Yeah. Well, that's the way it's experienced here. It's just this childlike innocence, that bubbling. It's
again, I get exactly what, and I'm kind of envious when you say that. I go, not really happy with my my level of okay. I could do with it being a bit more like Michael's, but well, if it's not, it's not, is it?
No.
because when I'm using the word okay, it's really synonymous with empty. That's how it feels. When I say empty, I could just say okayness in the same, because the fact that it just seems so obvious that everything is empty. And so and I could also say that's love as well. So when I use the word love, I'm really using words for meaning exactly the same thing that we can't say, that isn't a thing. And so they're all pathetic attempts. So I'm pretty sure we're speaking about the same thing, but the expression of it, and even the sense of it, is going to be unique to every human being. Every human being is absolutely unique. That's one myth that I'd really like to knock on the head. You know, that the uniqueness of every human being goes in this message neutralizes that. No, it's quite the opposite. This is much more of a celebration of the uniqueness of each human being rather than decrying it. And a lot of the motivation to speak about this is to allow each unique human being to be to blossom. You know, there's all the beautiful spiritual stories about, you know, the lotus flower. You look at all the Buddhist stories. Well, it is like a flowering, you know, because what inhibits the flower? Well, I do. I'm keeping the flower, you know, I'm keeping it in pristine, you know, like trying to stop it from flowering, because for fear of how vulnerable a flower would be. How vulnerable will I be if my petals unfold? So what do? I keep myself really contained and safe under that complete illusion of safety. And the character does seem to blossom, yeah, because it's not afraid anymore.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Michael. Whenever Michael asks me something, there's always a bit of blossoming going on. It does. Well, thanks everyone. I've gone over.
So, in the chat, Art mentioned that Nancy Nethercutt says, "Have you ever found a next?" And my reply to that is, yes, there's a next on the high street next to Topshop.
On the high street, but not anymore, because Topshop's gone.
Yeah.
Topshop's gone from the high street, and next is about to go.
Oh.
So maybe once Next goes,
you really won't be able to find the next.
The whole of humanity becomes liberated from Next.
Yeah.
Thanks for that really terrible joke to finish.
Yeah, you're welcome. Poor finale.
Well, thanks everyone for coming, and yeah, I will acknowledge that that's very much Nancy's words, the no next. So I'll acknowledge Nancy for that. But yeah, very obviously there is no next. And the next is the possibility. When I was speaking about that earlier, it's the same, just a different way of expressing the same. If you'd like to give a donation, then by all means do. If you haven't looked at my website yet, have a look at that. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
If you haven't bought my book yet, buy that. Yeah, and if you'd like to be on the invitation, if you'd like an invitation sent to you, then you can do that through the website. Just message me. And hopefully see some of you on Thursday.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you, Tim.
Bye, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
See you later. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Tim. Thanks, everyone.
Take care.